So I told my uncle I was leaving. I had a friend there, and he said, well, what are you going to do, Mel? I said, you know, I'm going to look into some businesses. I looked into opening up a ski tow. I looked into some mountains because I had just started skiing up there and so forth. And I said, and I'm interested in making a finned element that I can use in baseboards. He said, well, how are you going to do that? You need a tool and die maker and so forth. You know, he said, and he was right, actually. How was I going to do it? I had a cousin in Brooklyn who was a machinist. So I went from Pittsfield to see my cousin in Brooklyn. And he said, well, he wasn't in a position to make it for me, but he was doing work at night for a tool and die maker. Mm-hmm. He introduced me to the tool and die maker. And the tool and die maker had a very tiny shop. After we chatted and discussed it, he put up his shop, and I put up $5,000. But I didn't have $5,000. I had $2,000. I borrowed $3,000 from my sisters, and my first concern was that someday I would be able to pay them back. You know what I mean? It was one of those things. They had worked hard.
And that was a huge amount of money.
It was a lot of money. My whole lifetime up to that point, I had managed somehow to accumulate $2,000. So I put the $5,000 against his $5,000. Now with $5,000, you can't do very much about starting up a business. But we designed the first fin. We couldn't go to baseboard because we didn't have enough money for that. But we could make a finned pipe, we thought. He did some tool and die work. He had like one of each of the, he had a little milling machine, he had a lathe, had press. And the whole shop was very small. It was actually an abandoned bakery that was inside a lot under a shed that was about to fall down on it. He actually made the first die. When we made the fin pipe, I thought, if I go across that distance, the width of a finned pipe, which was 4 1/4 inches, if I go on a slant, I will get more surface. And these are very simple thoughts, of course, more surface than a straight across 4 1/4 inches. I'll get the 45-degree hypotenuse. But you can't put a fin on like that. You have to make a very fancy collar to do it. So we thought of the idea of making a V-shaped fin, a slant from both sides with a little base. And we turned out, he was able to make that with a collar on it. And it was a much nicer finned element, the slant fin element, and that gave us the name Slant Fin. At first, the name of the company was American Slant Fin Radiator Corporation. Pretty lengthy pronouncement.
Too many words, huh?
Too many words, that's right.
Is this the unit now?
Yeah, that's the element. And as you can see, this is a V-shaped, essentially V-shaped. They don't come to a point, come to a flat, because there's a collar there to give a better binding on the surface. So that's what we sold. Now I'll tell you an interesting little story in connection with that. When we made this unit, we made it up to 12 feet long. In order to pack it, we had to take it out of the shop. The shop was too small. And we first got into production, it was wintertime, there was snow outside. But nevertheless, we had to pack it in the snow. There was a rep, Tom Urell, who was told by my cousin to come down and see me about representing us. Tom Urell was a fabulous salesman, and he was also a little bit nuts for even coming into business with us. Because when he came, there was snow on the ground. We were outside packing those orders in the snow. And he said, nevertheless, he liked this, and he would be our rep.
Okay.
And that gave us the first huge impetus in the business, because he traveled New England.
Yes.
In time, he made us the dominant finned pipe source with many customers. but also the dominant baseboard when we got to that.